Okay, hi, welcome back. This is week 8. We're going to talk about the foundations of holistic healing. And sorry, it is pouring down rain outside. I just got caught in a rainstorm, so if I look a bit like a wet rat, that is why. Um, so here's a little bit about what we're going to cover today, but let's get started. So this week we're going to dive into a more integrative approach, and one that doesn't just look at isolated symptoms, but treats you as a whole person. We're going to explore how the body, the mind, and the spirit are all connected, especially for women living with autoimmune diseases. So, holistic health is not just a buzzword, it is a very science informed, compassionate way of reclaiming your well being. Holistic health literally just means treating the entire person physically, emotionally, socially, and spiritually, which you would think seems like something we should be doing all the time in modern medicine. But unfortunately, we really don't. Our mind and body and spirit are treated very differently. Um, so holistic healing is really about looking beyond diagnoses to understand how your lifestyle, your environment, your beliefs, stress, past experiences contribute to disease. So for autoimmune conditions, which as we know are deeply intertwined with the nervous system and immune systems, this lens is very crucial. We now know from research in psychoneuroimmunology, PNI, right, that your emotions influence your immune response. So spiritual practices like mindfulness, prayer, or even just time outside in nature can reduce those inflammatory markers. When one part of us suffers, be it from grief or trauma or isolation, it shows up physically. So healing really happens when we honor this connection and look at ourselves as a whole being. Chronic stress and trauma alter your immune function. We've been talking about that for the past 8 weeks, right? Cortisol released during stress initially suppresses inflammation, but the long-term dysregulation is what leads to an increase in it. And women with autoimmune disease often have histories of emotional invalidation, chronic people pleasing, or just a lot of unprocessed grief. So, emotional healing isn't separate from immune healing. It's 100% intertwined and very centrally tied to it. So let's break down the 4 pillars that we'll kind of keep coming back to when we talk about holistic healing. That is physical, which has to do with nutrition, movement, sleep, pain management. We're also going to look at emotional, which is the trauma and stress processing, self regulation, emotional expression, social, which talks about our boundaries, our connection to one another, feeling of safety in our relationships. And then spiritual, which means your values, your beliefs, and your practices that help to nourish the soul. When all of these things are in balance, then the body can begin to heal. So a pill might reduce a flare, but if we don't address the chronic fight or flight that your body is living in, it is not sustainable. You are just medicating symptoms. And many of us have been told, hey, everything looks fine, or there's been no changes in your labs, right? While internally our systems are hugely inflamed and dysregulated. So holistic care helps us treat the cause, not just the symptoms. Big difference. So I'm going to tell you about someone I actually saw in clinic named Alyssa. She was 42 years old, came to counseling, and had been diagnosed with lupus. And her medication was helping, but stress and very poor boundaries led to monthly flares. But once we started somatic therapy, set some healthy limits and boundaries, she did make a few changes to her diet. She started taking a more active stance in self care and regular meditation and body scanning. Her flares decreased to the point that I couldn't even tell you the last time that she had one. It's been years now. Her labs have improved, but more importantly, her quality of life improved. Um, she went from these flares were really inhibiting her ability to function normally and to have social connections and to feel confident in her body and to plan things with her family. But now, she is in a place where things have radically changed for her. She's doing really well and is able to set healthy boundaries and understand her body and work with it. So, just wanted to mention this because it's a story that I think really exemplifies what's possible when we start to treat ourselves as a whole person rather than just like focusing on the symptoms. Oops. Sorry, here we go. Okay. So we know that unresolved trauma dysregulates the nervous system. It keeps you in hypervigilance, it suppresses digestion, disrupts sleep, and keeps your immune system just on high alert, always on guard, right? So healing requires the opposite. It requires safety in your body, in your environment, in your relationships. And that's why trauma informed care for yourself recognizes this and supports that pacing and boundaries and compassion for you. So, studies show mindfulness can reduce CRP, an inflammatory marker, and that loving kindness meditation can greatly improve your immune profiles. So, there's a lot of research behind this. In 2016, a study was done that found that 8 weeks of meditation altered gene expression linked to inflammation, right? That's amazing. So, this isn't just anecdotal. There is hard science showing that mind body practices change our physiology. So, something to remember is that while you're practicing these things, healing doesn't require a complete life overhaul. It begins with just these micro practices, drinking a little more water throughout your day, saying no without guilt, practicing some 5 minutes of deep breathing or meditation, maybe some movement or stretching before bed, um, body scanning, right? Activating the vagus nerve. All these small actions done consistently, they teach your nervous system safety, and safety is the foundation of healing. So, take a moment right now and just check in. What are you feeling in your physical energy, right? Um, and what are you feeling emotionally? What's coming up? Do you have a sense of connection? Maybe emptiness. Maybe there's a spiritual hunger. But identifying whatever is present for you is the first step in rebalancing. So, healing doesn't require doing more. It starts with just noticing what's missing and gently tending to that area, right? There's something that, in training to be a mental health counselor, they would always talk about meet people where they are, right? Like just meet them where they are and help move forward. And I think that that's so important for us to do on our self-healing journey too, is just meet yourself where you are right now and start to gently incorporate these practices. So now, in your own words, I want you to take a minute to just kind of think about what does holistic healing mean for you. It might not be yoga or green juice, right, or meditating. That might not be your style, and that's okay. But maybe it is just taking a break and resting without guilt or criticism of yourself. Maybe it's just speaking a little more kindly to yourself, or reconnecting with things that bring you joy or peace, right? This journey is about your definition and your unique path to balance and vitality. So, just a worksheet reminder, we have a worksheet this week that covers holistic healing of the mind, the body, the spirit, how you can start to integrate those things into your daily life. So thanks for showing up. I enjoyed our time together, and I look forward to seeing you in lesson 2.